Today we're going to plant some bare root fruit trees. So we've taken delivery of our trees from Trees of Antiquity, and they're bare root. So the first thing we want to do is we want to soak these roots. Now I really like to soak them for 24 hours. There's varying opinions on what's needed. I would say a minimum of 6 hours. 6 to 12 is pretty popular. You can do too much. I certainly wouldn't do more than 24 hours. But 6 to 12 to 24 hours is an appropriate amount of time to wake them up, so to speak. So we've got our roots soaking here. While they soak, I'm going to prepare our new orchard for these to be planted in. So we've got 55 trees. It was 55 items. There's I think 12 raspberry and blackberry. So the majority of these are trees that will go directly in the ground. Our berries, we have a berry patch, so to speak, in our garden for those. But our current orchard is maxed out. We've got 50 trees over there, and I just don't have room over there for what we have here. And some of these have some different sunlight requirements than what's in our current orchard. So we're going to create a new orchard. We've shown you how to soak your bare root trees to wake them up before you plant them. I'm going to show you an example of what a bare root tree looks like. This is a gold-kissed apricot from Trees of Antiquity. All of our fruit trees come from Trees of Antiquity. They're all heirloom trees. Great quality. I've never had any problems with any of their products. All their trees have come alive and well, and they've all done well after being put in the ground. So this is real simple. There's really nothing to this. One thing. So all these trees are grafted, right? So you have your root stock, and then you have your actual fruit tree. So here, this is what I call the knuckle. This is the grafting point. Your grafting point needs to be 2 inches above ground. So you don't want to bury your tree up to here. You want to bury your tree up to about here. Okay? You want to leave your grafting point, and you can see where these two, where the rootstock here, there's a dividing line where the rootstock meets the actual fruit tree. Okay? All right, here we go. So I'm going to take this guy, and I like to kind of try to swoop the roots up in my hand as best I can, especially the ones that are a little harder and a little more well established. And then at an angle, I'm going to stick him in the hole and get everybody in there, and then make sure that my roots are pointed down or outward and are not really balled up. So I know where I can see in my hole here where my ground line is. So I'm going to make sure again that my knuckle from my rootstock grafting point is above ground about 2 inches. And then I'm just going to put the dirt, the native soil, back in the hole and kind of stick your hand down in there and try to compress that stuff down. And you're going to lose a little bit of soil. So, you might not fill this hole completely back up. And that's when it's good to have a shovel nearby, and you can just choose a designated donor spot and dig out some native soil to put back on top. But this guy here, because it had quite a bit of roots, looks like we're not going to need to do that for this one. Now, the hardest part is making sure it's straight. So sometimes looking at the top, you can see this tree starts to veer. So I try to just really look at the bottom, and if the bottom looks straight, it's usually straight. And of course, you can stand up, step back here, say hi to the bees, and yeah, that's a straight tree. So now I'm going to amend, and I'm going to amend above hole. So I'm going to take my compost here that I brought over, take my compost, I'm going to dump my compost out. Okay, compost out. There's some eggshell in there. And I'm going to just, again, remember, we're wanting to make a donut, and we want to try to kind of stay off of the top of that root ball. We don't want to really bury the top of that root ball up. So there we go. We got us a little donut. I'll raise it up a little bit, and the higher you raise it up, the more water you can retain in the donut. That's good for me. I'll move this guy out of the way here. Now we're going to grab our mulch. We're going to take our mulch. Same thing with the mulch. Let's get all of it. Right. We'll take our mulch. And we're just going to do this exact same thing with our mulch. Make a nice donut. Now that compost is fully encapsulated with mulch, and all that microbial life can do its thing in there, and our root system and tree will benefit greatly from that. That's it. Now the only thing left to do would be to water this in. I recommend watering it in, a good 3-4 minutes. You want water running off of it, especially that first watering. You really want to water it in, set it up for success. So that's all there is to it. That's how you plant a bare root fruit tree. All right, everybody. So earlier I showed you how we reload our existing fruit trees by laying down a layer of compost, and then on top of that a layer of mulch, and that we do not amend the hole, or excuse me, we do not amend down hole. Unfortunately, in these two spaces here, we lost 2 of our apple trees last year to fire blight, so we're going to replace those with 2 that we bought this year to replace them with. But I wanted to show you the difference in what this soil looks like after it's been reloaded several times over the course of 2 years versus what the native soil looks like in a hole that I just dug for the trees that we've ordered that are going in the ground. A hole that has not previously had a tree in it. So after just a couple of years of reloading above ground, you can see that it gets transferred down hole, no matter how you slice it. And I will show you what our native soil looks like over here. Let me grab you. So this is a hole that I just augered out for our new trees that are going in the ground, and this is what our native soil looks like. There's a considerable difference in soil type and nutrient load between this fresh soil and the soil out of the hole that's been reloaded several times over the course of a couple of years.